Greetings! Welcome back to the Old Ways Rising Farm YouTube channel. And also welcome to the fourth now installment in the Introduction to Wood Carving series. Is it fourth?
Yes.
Yes, it's fourth, yeah. In this episode we're going to discuss basic cuts. How to use the knife. When you go to put your knife to wood, what are you going to do with it? Okay, how are you going to do this safely, effectively, and not destroy your work at the same time? So we want to be safe, we want to be efficient, okay? And we want to be controlled so that you can have a nice product. So, hon, if you could lower the camera so that I can show this. The thing that you do not want to do is what I like to call the bored Boy Scout whittle, okay? The bored Boy Scout whittle is you take a stick and you take a knife that's probably way too dull, and you set the knife to the stick and you do that. Okay? You have no control when you do this. Yes, did I remove a consequential chunk of this wood? Yes, I did. But I have no control when I do this. It is dangerous if anybody is in front of me, and you're not going to have good work with this. It does give you a lot of power, but power only counts if it is under control. Okay? So, if you need a power stroke like this, and this is the first cut that I will show you, is instead of just doing this at full arm extension and uncontrolled with the knife hand, what you want to do is take your knife hand, sharp edge away from you, plant it into your body, get good contact, okay? And now set it to the wood, dig it in, and now pull the wood against the knife, okay? And this is a lot more controlled. You can actually predict what you're going to take off, which is good. And it is safer because we don't have a knife blade flinging around. Obviously safer. So it is the better way to do it. Now, don't do this often. This is something that you do if you get into a hard spot and you just need to blow that corner off of the blank. This is not your normal stroke. The normal stroke and I would say that the overwhelming majority of the chips I remove from a carving are done with this stroke. This is a European style knife, so you hold it palm down. Okay, first thing. Now, this time I'm going to have edge facing toward me. Okay, and the stroke for cutting, my thumb will be planted against the work to anchor it, as well as it will be held in my adjacent hand. And the stroke is to just take the knife out, held in the fingers, and curl the hand in. So it's a scooping action. Okay? Now notice, if I get through and something splits, what's going to happen? Well, the knife is going to shoot very quickly to its final position. Was any part of my body in danger? No. Right? From here to here, I am not in the way of the blade no matter what happens. Okay? Also, if I'm positioning my work correctly, no part of my work is in the way of the blade no matter what happens. Okay? So this is very efficient. You have quite a bit of power in those four fingers. And again, remember, listen to the previous video. Wood selection, we're using a softer wood. So, we're going to still get a good cut. Thumb planted, left hand supporting, obviously reverse this if you're a lefty. And then I can just come and I can scoop out wood. Okay? Now, in this instance, I am cutting against the grain. So to remove those shavings, I would need to turn this around and cut back into them. Okay, scoop. Okay, you'll notice at the end of every flake, when it severs, your knife comes to the final position. So make sure that there's nothing in the way of the knife when it comes to that final position. You can see I'm wasting wood very, very quickly with this. And the flakes are flying off with fair force. You can get a lot more power in this than you think. Okay? The next cut is, so that's toward, moving toward your core in general direction. I'm sure you've all heard never cut towards yourself. We need to amend that rule to be never cut in a way that the blade is capable of contacting your body. Okay? So sometimes you do need to cut in a direction which is towards yourself, but with this curl motion, it's still safe. Now you do need to make sure that you don't put this thumb in a stupid position. If this thumb is here, then you will cut yourself, right? Because then you can come and make contact. So you have to make sure that your thumb is in the right spot. Now, if you want to cut away from yourself and going the other direction, so let's say I have a couple of curls coming like this, and now I want to sever those without turning the blank around. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to face that blade edge away from me. Again, anchor it with my thumb here, hold the work in my left hand, and I'm just going to push with my thumb. So it's this motion, okay? Pushing away with the thumb in the middle of the blade. And then just cut into those pre-existing curls. Okay? This is not quite as powerful because I'm only using one digit to do the pushing. And you will get a callus on the tip of your thumb. You can tell, if you ever shake my hand, you can tell if I've been carving or not by, how thick that callus has been growing. So that's the second cut. Okay? Basic cut there. Those two do the vast majority, and I will only do the anchor and pull stroke when I hit a hard spot. So that's most of it. Okay? The same cut works for concave work with a hook knife or crooked knife. Curl it in towards yourself. Okay? And make some cuts. If you need to push them away. Now this is a double-edged knife. Both sides are sharp. So you have to be careful that you're going to push against the edge of the handle. Mm-hmm. Okay? Or there's a fairly wide ricasso right here. You can push against that. If I want to go the other way, I can also do the push cut. Okay? So using the spoon carver's hook knife, am I keeping this in the frame? Mm-hmm. Okay. Using the spoon carver's hook knife is basically the same as using the straight Sloyd knife. It's just not straight. But the technique is not radically different. Okay? Last basic cut with the Sloyd knife. I use this for surfacing large objects a lot. This is extremely powerful, and it's an away from me cut. So I'm going to take the knife with blade pointing away. So I'm going to take my block and anchor it in my lap and use my legs as a vise to hold it. Okay? Then I'm going to put the palm of my left hand, again reverse if you're a lefty. I'm a righty, so I have blade in my dominant hand and work in the supportive. Put the back of the palm against the work and the upper palm against the back of the blade. I'm going to push like this. Mm-hmm. So now my right hand is just the fulcrum of a lever, and the force is coming from the back. But notice that I'm just tilting the wrist. I'm not pushing with my arm. Okay? So again, think about full extension of this cut is right there. I'm out of range of motion at this instance. Okay? So I'm not going to go zipping off into space. And then you can simply shave down and surface this. This works very well for large objects. And I have 3 clamping points, my 2 legs and the palm is also helping to support the work. Okay? So when I'm doing the ducks, and I'm making my final knife strokes. I do like tool pattern on my work. I think it shows process and it contains a lot of information that's very nice. But tool pattern is not helter-skelter. Tool pattern is a purposeful, symmetrical patterning that you do with the tool instead of sandpaper. So I use this for all of those final patterning cuts, and ultimately I want every scar to be approximately the same size. Okay, so I'll just go across like that, cutting off all the high spots, making a nice symmetrical two-mark pattern. You can see it starting to develop there. Okay, so we are almost finished with basic cuts. There's one more knife we need to talk about, and that's the hawksbill. This is good for a couple of different things. One is if you're doing a little splinter, come out of there. If you're doing chip carving decoration, this is the most important knife to use. It's also good for making nice square edges on a stop cut. So I'll show you that first. Let's say I want to put a little notch in the end of this as part of my carving. So I can come, again, I'm holding it in my fingers and then bringing it back. Only now I'm going to put this thumb, instead of having the thumb out there on the work, I'm going to have the thumb right against it. And I'm going to kind of use my thumb to guide the motion of the knife. So the motion of the knife is like that. Okay? So set it in, make a straight cut across. Now this is a 90-degree vertical incision. And then I can come in and remove that. Okay? If it doesn't pop out, these are very, very thin. Sharpened at usually about a 15-degree meeting angle, sometimes 20-degree meeting angle. Do not pry with this knife. You will snap it. I have done it. Okay? So if your chip doesn't pop out, come back and cut a little deeper. Then come back this way, cut a little deeper, cut a little deeper. Where's it hanging? There we go. Okay? So now I've cut a nice notch with a square back. And then you can come in and do whatever carving you want. Okay? To round that off. So that's one way that you use this for making nice square stop cuts like that. The second way is for removing a triangular piece in decorative chip carving, where you just make a cut, a cut, a cut. Again, it didn't pop out, so then I'll just work through and make all of these a little bit deeper until it does. There we go. Okay. This is a nice way to add some decorations. You can add a lot of geometric patterns with this. You can add a lot of geometric patterns with this. And very nice decorative technique that you can do with this knife. Decorate handles of things, decorate edges of boards. A lot you can do with it. Get it down to a nice point. Now, that is ridiculously deep for this kind of decoration. You'll sometimes hear this called dry schnitt too, 3 cuts in German. And then we can also use the chip carving technique to make a line of any shape we want with 2 cuts. So I just made 1 incision, then I will come back and make another parallel incision. And now I have a line cut into the work. Okay? So those are the 3 main cuts that we do with the hawksbill knife. So vertical edge for stopping cuts. And you can also use this when you're doing that. You can use this in conjunction with the slade knife. So you might say I want to make my vertical cut that way, and then come in with the slade knife and just pop out that chip. Okay? So we can use these together in one operation. Or if it's hanging up a little bit, sometimes you can get the slade knife down there because it's more robust, and you still don't want to pry with the tip. But, you know, if it was hanging up right here, you could come down in and do that and just kind of give it a little sideways pop. Okay, those are the basic cuts in wood carving with these simple knives. I hope you found this informative. If so, please like, share, and subscribe. And the next edition of this series is going to be carving our little, let me hold them right side up, carving our little Christmas goose out of this second block. So I hope you will join us for that, and I hope you will also ring that notification bell so that you know when it posts. Till then, have a wonderful, blessed day.